Welcome to the CEO Journeys podcast. I'm Paul Vetter, CEO and co-founder of VXIT, an IT service provider based in South Florida. This podcast highlights the successes and the struggles of the everyday entrepreneur and business leader. Let's get into it. Anthony Bobba, welcome to the podcast, CEO Journeys.
Yes.
I appreciate you joining me today.
Pleasure is definitely mine. I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Awesome. So a little background, we're actually friends. We were neighbors. We're friends. We were neighbors, and if memory serves me correctly, I had gotten rid of a piece of lawn equipment that your wife drove by and decided to trash pick out of my trash pile there.
So you're right out the gate. You're calling my wife a garbage picker.
Right out of the gate.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Right out of the gate.
Going. I like it.
So she took the trailer. It was a pull behind for the lawnmower that I was not willing to fix because I'm not very handy. So I'll call myself out. And then we ended up meeting at the park with our kids, and the rest is history.
That sums it up. I would say so.
Okay, awesome.
For the record, I didn't use the trailer for the lawnmower. It was to pull behind my golf cart.
Got it.
Yeah.
Which I did not. I don't think I had. Maybe I had the golf cart at the time, but yeah, it was I think it had a broken wheel, and I just, you know me, I'd rather buy a new one than fix something that's old.
Freight, $12, put a wheel on it, back in business, and now I got a little trailer to pull it around the yard with my golf cart.
That's just not my style. So, but I wanted to bring you on today. You have an insurance company right now, Assurance Life Group, and I want to get into that, but I first give everyone kind of a background, because you have some broad experience when it comes to entrepreneurship, being a CEO, and you can start as early as you want. Cause I know, you've worked at a pizza shop, you've done a lot of different things.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll try to keep it short and sweet, and let me know if I go overboard here. So always been a salesperson, no matter what, whether it was wanting a $130 pair of Jordans when I was, 12 years old, somehow, some way, I had to figure out a way to persuade my parents into buying me these sneakers, when lo and behold, they could spend, $40 and get me God knows what from Kmart. But I figured out how to ultimately get what I wanted, always, just, no matter what it was. So I always knew I was destined towards some type of sales. My mom and dad do it as well, my family. And somehow, some way, I always figured out a way to ultimately get what I want, I guess. Not by being shady or anything along those lines, just being a little crafty, thinking outside the box.
Actually, let me pause there. I'm going to crack open my energy drink here that's now overflowing on the table. Let's stop there for a second, because I want to explore that just for a brief moment. Okay. The whole idea of getting what you want. It's something that I've actually talked to my wife about, my family. Like, in my life, there are things that I want to have happen. Whether it's something that I want to achieve, whatever that is. And I'm saying this out loud, thinking this out loud. It's probably just the fact that we're super type A personalities, but where do you think that came from? Where did that drive? What is that inside of you? Could you put that into words?
Even now, I'm going to be 50 years old next month. I can't believe it. But, and I've just realized, I would say probably in the last 5-7 years, and I don't mean, I hope this doesn't come across arrogant, but I'm always chasing the win. I need the satisfaction of a yes, whatever it may be. So whether I set out for a goal to achieve XYZ, or I want to acquire ABC, I need that. I need that satisfaction. I have to have it. I feel like it just fuels me. It drives me. It gets me going just at all times. So I've always had it. And somehow, some way, if it's humanly, physically possible, I'll find a way, or I'll make a way to do it. Again, I hope it doesn't come across as douchey, but that's really the attitude I have. That's really what I believe.
Yeah.
And I'm very passionate about it. And so I don't know when it started per se, but I realized that more in my later years, that I'm always chasing that, no matter what it might be. Whether it's, ultimately I want to go out for steak for dinner, and, I'm going to ask my wife what she wants, but lo and behold, I know what I want. And I'm going to coerce and lead her down this path to ultimately get her to agree she wants steak for dinner.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's that winning feeling, desire. It could be something simple, which I'm sure we're going to get into, throughout this conversation here as well. But
yeah, one of the things that I do with my wife, because she has a hard time deciding, so I'll ask her that old famous question: "What do you want for dinner?"
Correct.
So she's of the mindset or the personality where she doesn't know what she wants for dinner. It's the same thing. So most of the time I kind of know what I want, but I'm going to let her choose. What I've actually gotten a habit of is asking her what she does not want for dinner. And that actually enables us to work backwards from, and it's almost like goal setting. So like you pick the goal and you reverse engineer backwards.
Yeah.
All right. So you've always had that drive. And I actually agree with you. I don't know what it is. And I don't know that I could put it into words because I've always had that too. And it's so funny. I was talking to somebody the other day. I had a like a hope chest, like one of those I call it a treasure chest. It looks like one of those chests that would be on a pirate ship. I had it in front of my bed and I kept my keepsakes in it when I was a kid. I would always, when we would play, I would always set it up like a desk. And I was always sitting behind a desk and I was always imagining myself as a lawyer or a doctor or somebody important that makes a lot of money. And I don't know why or how or what drove me to do that, but I always had this fascination with doing important things, making a lot of money, just having success. And again, I hope I am not now sounding like a douche, but that's just something that has always been innate in me. And I can't, I don't know the necessarily the genesis of it, but it's something that's always been there.
Yeah. I don't know either. I mean, I never, I'm never satisfied. I always want more. And then if I see, again, I don't hope I don't sound like a total jerk here, but if I see Bob Jones has ABC or XYZ, I'm sizing him up, and I'm subconsciously, and I think just everybody does this, like.
I think a lot of men do that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, what does he have? What does he do? Why can't I do that? Can I do it? Can I do it better? If he has it, I should be able to have it, but that and then some.
Yeah.
So I'm always striving to be the best at whatever it is I do as well. And, I think that kind of ties in with that whole win, but
I heard something on a podcast recently. I think it was Chris Williamson's podcast, Modern Wisdom. They were talking about being happy, but never satisfied. And I think that
I've heard that as well.
Yeah. That resonated with me because I'm happy with my life. If everything, it's so funny, if everything stopped now, or if everything like my business collapsed, first of all, I'd rebuild it. Or rebuild something different. I couldn't not do what I'm doing in any way, shape, or form. But if it stopped, like I would be happy, but I'd always need to do something and chase something. I was talking to my wife about this last night. Like I do these marathons and these runs, these outdoor runs, and I want to do a 50K run this year because I've never done one. And I have to do that to have that accomplishment. And it's when I don't actually like running, to be quite honest with you.
Wow, I did not know that.
The act of running, not exactly a fun thing to do. It's hard. It's long. It's boring sometimes. But what I love is actually the accomplishment of running. And it's something that I can control from start to finish. So I talk to people when I talk about running is I hate running on a treadmill because you could just stop whenever you want. Like you're like, oh, I went 3 miles. I'll just stop. Well, you were scheduled for 5. You should keep going. If I run 2.5 miles out, I have to run 2.5 miles back. So, but again, it always goes back to that accomplishment of running, not necessarily the act. And running for me is something that I can control from start to finish. With business, like getting new clients or something like that, we don't have control over that entire process, but the running is a process that I kind of control. Yeah. All right. So back to your history. So you've always had that desire. You're thinking sales at some point.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, always just figuring out how to get what I want ultimately. And that just kind of crafted and evolved into just sales skills that I just built over the years, even from a young child. I got into an industry, computer reseller parts. It was, I don't remember the name of the company now, but I worked there and initially it was just fielding inbound calls. So just people would have a catalog in the mail. This was 2000, sorry. So people would have a catalog in the mail, and this was like internet was still just kind of evolving, and Apple, PC, Mac, it was all very new. And people call up and place orders for different parts, and I would, I'd earn a commission. So I'd upsell, hey, what about that printer? I mean, do you have a cable for it? Probably a good idea to get extra ink, right? I mean, do you know with the inkjet printer, you're going to go through this much ink, but if we really look at this kind of printer, it's going to save you money in the long run. Anyway, I figured all this out and I got really good at it over the course of maybe not very long, 6 weeks or so. Then they put me in an outbound position. I had a salary, and then I had to basically earn any kind of commission. So I would call buyers and networking administrators for different companies. Like I had TV stations and just massive companies that would come to me to buy everything. And I did very well. I was there maybe a year, but I was in my early 20s and I didn't break six figures, but not far from it. Not my passion, not my desire, but I'm doing
The
my
product itself.
Yeah.
Computers and
Yeah.
stuff.
So then fast forward around about the same time, I should say, I was big into motorcycles. Me and a bunch of buddies were coming down to Bike Week in Daytona. This is now 2003. And rented an Airbnb or whatever it was at the time. I don't think Airbnb was even around then. Maybe VRBO, I think. Ormond Beach. And there was a girl who I've been friendly with for a long, long time, long before this. We grew up together. And I was always chasing her. Always kind of pictured and envisioned us together at some point. And she lived in Florida, lived in Miami. I was from New Jersey. Went to Ormond Beach, got the Airbnb or VRBO, whatever it was. And, her and I somehow communicated, probably through a payphone. And true. And she drove up and she drove up and spent a week with us. And, the magic happened, I guess you could say. That was March, first week of March for Bike Week 2003. I moved to Florida the first week of April 2003. I left behind that job, left behind everything, wanted to start a new life with a girl that I've been chasing for quite some time, who I'm very happy to say 23 years later is now my wife.
It's awesome.
With 2 kids and still my best friend, still my queen.
It's amazing.
To coincide with that move to Florida, she said, I remember this girl, we knew her from high school and she's married to this guy, and this guy is I don't know what he does, but he's in the investment world. He's in the investment space. And, I hang out with them sometimes and I go to their house, I go to parties, I go to this house, that house, and they're all driving crazy cars. And I don't know what, they're making all kinds of money. And I know them, but I know you, and I know you'd kill it. So I flew down first before I moved down, and I met this guy, got an interview, offered me the position, offered me a job as a commodity broker. And I went to one of these parties that she talked about, and these guys are rolling up in, new Benz, new Vets, new this, new that. And again, I'm sizing them up and I'm thinking, man, if they're doing it, I know I can do it. And I started, and I did very, very well. Within my first probably 15 months, I definitely broke six figures. And then I was approached by 2 other guys there, and they said, hey, man, let's break out of here and kind of do our own thing. So by this point, I kind of figured out what they were doing, the company overall.
Yeah.
So we broke away, did our own thing. And that went on from 2004 to 2010. In the investment world, everything was basically sales over the phone. We hired a trader, somebody that actually knew what they were doing. I knew how to sell. That was it. I knew how to raise money. That was it. I didn't know how to trade, but you hire people to do those kind of things.
Yeah.
And that was a revolving door, just constantly hiring. And those that would stick, probably 1 of every 20 people you hired would actually be somebody successful. Everybody just kind of bump along. But always probably a 50-man woman operation, kind of revolving door in and out. But we did great. We did, very well. I mean, that was 2008 was my very first taste of 7 figures.
Wow.
That was 2008. Sold the business in 2010. And then, not really sure what we were going to do, but next chapter of life, I guess you can say, my wife had this idea. She had an idea of a product. Should I get into that?
Sure. Yeah, definitely.
She had an idea of a product. So, oh man, how do I say this on BPG? So everybody's got a routine in the bedroom, and sometimes when the festivities, for lack of a better phrase or whatever comes to mind, are over, there's a method. People might jump in a shower immediately after. Somebody might grab a washcloth, some toilet paper, baby wipes. I don't know. Everybody's got their thing, right?
Yeah.
So we were baby wipe users. And she said, I can't believe there's not something more specific for this intention. It doesn't, I can't believe it. I'm thinking, I think a lot of people use baby wipes for this intention, right? It's got to be something. So you get online and, you Google this and that. And lo and behold, there was really nothing. There was a couple novelty items, something you'd see in like the dirty bookstore. That's not us. And that was it. And then she kept kind of pressing me for it, and, sitting on some cash and we had time. So I just said, you know what, let's give it a shot. So we did. And we knew nothing about manufacturing, knew nothing about developing, creating a product, or had no clue on what it took to get in the retail space.
We could probably do an hour just on getting into the retail space.
Yeah. So I'll quickly fast forward on that. But so again, getting back to, if there's a way humanly, physically possible, I'll find it or make it. And that's what we did. And long story short, over the course of, 4 years-ish, the first 4 years, this guy here, I got us on the shelves of Walgreens, Whole Foods, Walmart, Target, Bed Bath & Beyonds, lots of grocery chains, Spencer's in the mall, lots of other retailers. And we were a success. We did very, very well. Got out of that business in 2020 for the most part. COVID came, and that really shook things up quite a bit in the wipe industry and just things as a whole.
Because the masks, all the manufacturing paper, that was a problem. You basically couldn't make product.
Correct. We sold out of everything quickly. And then to have product made, near impossible. I mean, prices probably tripled, to get a spot on the production line. Usually we used to be anywhere from 8 to 12 weeks. Now we're 8 to 12 months.
Jeez.
Forget about terms. You had to put up all the money. And then the sun, the moon, the stars, and the earth had to be aligned. Every product, every component of the wipe had to be at the manufacturer for the deadline. This is the day we're running their production. And if it wasn't, you're out. Push to the back of the line, wait another 8 to 12 months.
Jeez. Again, meanwhile, you got to lay out that cash. So it was that we took a hit. We took a beating on that for sure. But, we had some good years, no doubt about it. Buddy of mine who was a personal trainer at the time. He not the kind of personal trainer you get when you join the local gym. He was a guy for hire, had his own clientele. Legit.
Yeah. Legit. I mean, good. Did well. 2 kids, wife, house, 2 cars. He was successful, financially anyway. Hey, what are you doing? And he was like, man, I can't do much here because of COVID, my business. But I got into this insurance thing, and it's great. And he's not really a sales guy. I've always been intrigued by insurance because I know, either you're wildly successful at it or you dropped out, you failed. It's really one or the other. There's really not much in between. And you get that renewable income, the passive income. And somebody told me something rather years ago. You need to figure out a way where you can make money when you sleep. I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
The wipes industry was something like that. Now this insurance, man, so if I have a client, you mean I get money year after year, the same client? Oh, okay. All right. I'm intrigued by this. So I started in the insurance industry quickly with this company who, when it comes to sales, you got a lot of snakes in the grass, and they lie and they cheat and they steal and they bamboozle you. And that's ultimately what happened to me. But fortunately, I learned it in probably the first 5 or 6 weeks. Wasn't getting paid what I should have been, but I saw the potential. Got out of there. And then I saw, what? I think I can kind of do this on my own. So one-man show. Let me back up, actually. At this time, I reached out to 2 childhood friends of mine, 3 childhood friends of mine. 2 of the 3 I've known since elementary school. I'm not exaggerating, that I'm still very close with today. You've actually met both of them. Another of which I met later on in life, but very, very dear friend. They were in the insurance industry, and I ran it by them, and they were like, yeah, man, this is how it works. And, most insurance agents, they put this license on a pedestal like that's, what's going to make them money. That's a tool in the toolbox is what I like to say. You need it for what I do for a living, but you need to be a salesperson is what it comes down to. And that, fortunately, I think I have. So I got after it on my own. The one guy that I met later in life, his name is Matt, who you also know. He was like, dude, if you're doing this and you're breaking away to do that, I'm with you, man. So he quit the agency he was working for. I think he was property casualty and I don't know, a few other things, and he joined me. And then over the course of about a year, we built a system just for ourselves, fully automated AI, automations, workflows, the CRM, everything on autopilot, kind of work by appointment only. We're not just calling random people. We learned how to generate our own leads. How to have high intent leads, people that really want to talk to you, people that really want to know exactly what options are out there for you. And we did that very successful over the first year-ish. And then a guy ultimately that I was under, he said, hey man, why don't you think about maybe offering this out to other agents? You know how many people are out there kind of bumping along and struggling and not knowing where to go. And, they don't have anybody to turn to. They don't have somebody to ask questions. They don't have somebody to teach them how to generate leads or do this or do that.
No framework.
Yes, which we're talking about tomorrow.
Yeah.
So he said, all right, let's give it a shot. And that was August of 24, I think it was. Yeah, August of 2024. And now we're somewhere in the neighborhood of 32 agents strong, which is intentional. We're not really looking to take it above and beyond that number. If somebody doesn't make the cut, they hang in there for a couple of weeks, maybe a month or 2. And then, if they ain't got it, they ain't got it.
Yeah.
But when I say they ain't got it, everybody's got it. It's, do they have the work ethic and do they have the accountability? But
yeah, there's a couple of things I want to unpack there. So let's start with sales. I remember I was sitting, this is actually after a I used to cycle, like road cycle, Tour de France style. Don't do that anymore. Picked up running, but I had a long run. I was doing a bike ride with a buddy. He was actually biking from New York down to Florida. He did this thing to support wounded warriors. And we were sitting in the hot tub after a long run. I met him somewhere North Florida, and I rode almost the length of Florida with him. But long story short, he's a sales guy, phenomenal sales guy.
Do I know this guy?
No.
Okay.
No. We were sitting in the hot tub, and we were talking about sales, and I told him, and I own a business at this point, and I told him, I said, I hate sales. I really hate sales because I had this negative view of it, that it was manipulation. And
a lot of people would feel that way. So I understand.
Yeah. And it's something that I naturally got over, because what I realized was, what we're doing at VXIT, I believe in it. So the sales or the influencing, and again, people would call it manipulation. It's not manipulation. I'm educating people on how to make the right decision when it comes to their IT services and their businesses. And it's almost like we're evangelizing our product or service. Like, we believe that we're doing the right thing, and we want to tell people about it. And that's kind of what sales is. Do you have kind of a similar
Definitely
mindset on that?
And when you believe in it, you're passionate about it. So you naturally speak with conviction. You naturally speak, they can sense and feel your passion. Same. I mean, really, we absolutely put people in a better position. Every agent that knows, and obviously this is being recorded, if there is not an added value and benefit for the person you're speaking with, damn well you better move on and pass it. Because whether it's the big man upstairs, karma, somehow, way, shape, or form, it's going to come back to you when you do the right thing. I preach that quite a bit, which is, I'm not trying to toot my own horn or pat myself in the back, but when it comes to sales, you got a lot of people that are slimy. They've got commission breath, and they'll say anything. And
commission breath, I love that.
Yeah, I got that from Matt, by the way. So
that's
Matt,
good.
I'll give you credit.
That's good.
And when they're desperate, they'll say what they have to do and do what they have to do. I am complete opposite of that. So certainly much easier to sell something when you're not really selling it. You're just informing, you're educating, you're teaching them why this is this way or that way, and why it's not, and why you might be eligible for this and why you're not. And ultimately, you let them make the decision. But sometimes, maybe you have to put a little pressure on somebody, but that's not a bad thing. It's sales.
It's the prompt to action.
Sure. This is the way I look at it. Every single conversation that every single two people have in any single aspect of life, there's a sale going on.
Yes.
It's whether you're selling them whatever you're trying to sell, or you're buying the BS and why. That's it.
Yeah.
Whether you're trying to pick up a guy or girl at a bar or restaurant, you're trying to get somebody's number, whether you're trying to sell your parents into sneakers and they're selling you on why they can't, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. There's always a sale that's going down.
Credit and debit.
Yeah. Always.
If there's it's an exchange. Yeah. That's so funny. I love that. So, now with your business, so rewind back to the commodities business. You had an office, you had people, tons of people, 50 or so people working in the office, W-2 employees. Mm-hmm. With this agency now, the insurance agency, you're actually dealing with 1099 contractors.
Correct.
Walk us through, because that's a different level, because we support companies that have W-2 and we support companies that have contractors, and different flavor, even in IT, like we have to handle them differently. Can you walk us through kind of the differences there?
Yeah. I mean, I would say the agent that I see fail more often than not is the agent that had a 9-to-5 job, had to show up in person at an office 9 to 5 and do their thing. They had accountability. They can't just go take off at 2:00 on a Tuesday to get a haircut or to get their nails done. If they don't show up, they'll be reprimanded. There'll be something. There's accountability. Well, these people say to themselves, I'm doing this. Why not break away and do it on my own? So then they decide to go off on their own, maybe come work for me. But now it's 2:00 on a Tuesday, and I got time. I'm not really going to get in any trouble. I'm going to get a haircut. I'm going to get my nails done. They don't have that accountability. And I think that is and the fact that they're at home or a home office and they're not in front of me in person, how do I know what they're doing?
Yeah.
Yes, I could track and see what they're doing and when they're making calls and not making calls and doing this and doing that. But, they're only going to work as hard. And unfortunately, a W-2 employee is, they're forced to show up. And the amount of time, energy, and effort they're putting in, because, you're going to see the results and you're going to see their numbers, and numbers don't lie.
Logistically speaking, how do you go about keeping contractors accountable? Because they they can be like, yo, dude, I'm in a contract. I can do kind of whatever I want. Like, and realistically, from a legal standpoint, that's true. Do you struggle with that?
They all have certain minimums they have to meet.
Okay.
Yeah. So they have to meet certain quotas. And if they don't hit the quota, week one, we'll let it slide if they're new. Week two, they get a warning. Week three, they get a second warning. There's no third.
Got it.
Yeah. So it's basically they show up, it's turnkey. They get access to our CRM. All they do is they call appointments. Their calendar stacked, and they just call one appointment after the next. It's pre-booked, pre-scheduled. You know, if you're calling Mary Smith, you know her first name, her last name, her date of birth, her email address, her zip code. Sometimes what plan she currently has, what benefits she's interested in looking into, and you call, and that's it. It's very simple.
Yeah. And I guess so they're signing some sort of contract or an agreement that say, hey, I'm going to meet this quota. And then that's how you hold
Correct.
them accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I said, I've found it so different in the W-2 world where people are in the office. There's obvious KPIs, like you have to, meet these things, whatever those things are to be employed here.
Right.
So I guess it's kind of not as different as I thought it would be.
No, I mean, I've come across a lot of very, very talented individuals, but they don't have the work ethic. I'd rather have a guy or a girl that's going to work his butt off, her butt off, and do everything humanly possible to kind of put their head down and put their horse blinders on and make it happen.
Yeah.
With little talent, I can teach you the talent. People say you're born with sales, you're born with talent. I don't believe that. You're not born with everything. You have to learn certain things along the way.
Yeah.
Maybe you have the ability to speak well and things like that and be a friendly, personable person, but there's a whole lot more to sales than just, reading a script and being a robot. You got to be, and this is what I teach everybody. And fortunately, I think I do it naturally, but you need to be a chameleon, no matter who. Yeah. I mean, I've got very good friends that are attorneys. I've got very good friends that are truck drivers and everybody in between. And I don't treat anybody any different. If I'm out with, my family and, there's a waiter or waitress, I make small talk with anybody, and it's not a sales tactic. It's just the way that I am, the way that I talk. And, I'm a pretty friendly person. But there's always an end game, you always, I'm looking for that win.
Yeah. No. All right. So on that note, what does winning look like for you? And this is a pretty big question. So, and I would love to know professionally, personally, whatever direction you want to take that, but what does winning look like for you? In the grand scheme of things.
The grand scheme of things. Okay. I would say I keep a pretty small circle of friends. And I believe that every single person I encounter is either they're with me or they're against me. There's no between. It's one or the other. And, you've got your fake phony friends you have to occasionally put on your smile to and, make small talk. And I try to eliminate as many of those as humanly possible. I'm a real person and I like to surround myself with real people. And that's very, very important to me. Sometimes I don't know that I would say I wear my heart on my sleeve, but sometimes I have a hard time trusting people. I've been burned a couple times over the years, so I am cautious. But when I do trust somebody, I'm as loyal as they come, and I think I've actually said this to you, if well, I guess I could say this here. What's the difference?
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. It better not happen. If you called me up and you said, hey, man, I got to bury a body, I'm going to be pissed. I'm going to be pissed that you did it. I'm going to be pissed that you asked me and put me in that position. And then I'm going to say, hand me the damn shovel, man. Let's do what we got to do. So, that's my loyalty I have for my friends and my family. And I only want to surround myself with people that have that same, that'll give me the same that I would give them. Hopefully none of that, by the way.
Yeah.
So that and health and my family means everything to me. They are everything. I know everybody says that, but if I had to shut every single person off in my life besides my wife and my two kids, I'll survive and I'll be happy. And we health is everything, especially as you get older in your years. You don't pay so much attention to it as your younger years. Some people do, and I have for a long, long time. But again, it's the win of, I can control what I put in my mouth, what I put in my body, the sunscreen I use, the deodorant I use, the vitamins I use, the nutrition, the food I eat, the alcohol I drink or don't drink. And that plays a big part in your overall health, not just physical, but mental. So I think a win would be to be of sane mind, till the end of time for me, because that's something I certainly hope I never lose. To watch my kids grow and develop and have families of their own, to be a grandpa, to have my wife by my side and my best friend, forever.
That's awesome.
And money is part of it. It's a tool.
It's a vehicle.
That's it.
It's the vehicle
That's it.
to get us. I was talking with my wife, Robin, last night about that. And we were having an argument last night, and we were talking about just how hard I chase things. And so this is good timing. And she's like, you're chasing this money, like you're chasing this success. And we were talking about the money thing. And I had to remind her, because I've told her before, but she's just not in the position that I'm in. And she stays home with the girls, and that's what she wants to do. She homeschools our kids. But I told her it's not about the money. It's about freedom. So if we have enough money, or if we have a level of money or a certain level of money that we decide works for us, we can have freedom. So the freedom, for instance, to go celebrate your 50th birthday in Costa Rica next month. So we're going to do that. And, when we like to travel. So when we have this level that I am chasing, like I am chasing the money, and some people would call it money, some people call it success, but it's all in the name of freedom, because that's why we homeschool our kids. So we're not beholden to a school schedule. That's why my wife stays home. And it's so funny, like, rewind our marriage 15 plus years ago, Robin told me she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And at the time, this is actually going back over 20 years ago, not 15. At the time, I was going to school to become a teacher. I took this little sidetrack where I thought I was going to become a teacher, because Robin was actually a teacher, and I was trying to figure out still what I wanted to do. I remember exactly where we were. We were sitting in my truck it was a Winn-Dixie on Military Trail in
Ford Ranger?
No, it was Tacoma. It was my Tacoma.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
And she said, I want to be a stay-at-home mom. And I said, well, I guess I'm done studying being a teacher. Now, I didn't say that to her out loud, but that was the immediate thought that I had. And I adjusted course from there. I changed the trajectory of what I was going to do, because you can't live on a single teacher salary, at least not down here in Florida. So again, it was all of that to say, me chasing money, as we were talking about last night and now, was just to provide a level of freedom to allow us to do the things that we want to do. And that's a sliding scale for everyone. It doesn't mean, like, I don't have I would love to fly private, have a private plane, like have my own jet, a PJ, as the people call it. I'd love to have a private jet, but I that's not a level of success that I'm chasing. But they're being able to go on a couple of vacations and travel a year. I think that's awesome. And maybe fly first class. Like, that's a level that I'd like to chase.
Yeah. And in every aspect of life, freedom ain't free, so
that's true.
If you want to do these things, but as with anything, you got to show up, you got to put in the work, you got to put your head down, and then, the fruits of your loin, they'll be there. It's a lot of people just think something magically is going to fall out of the sky, land in their lap, and just poof, turn their life around. You gotta go out and you gotta make it happen. Nothing's going to just, I guess you could hit the lottery, but if you're going to base your life on luck and say a prayer to the big man upstairs and hope that everything's just going to work out, you could do that.
Yeah.
But I certainly would give myself the best odds and probably do some work.
Yeah. You have to chase that. It's so funny. I had a conversation not too long ago about somebody pretty close to me in my life, and I was sharing a success, and their comment back to me was, "It must be nice."
Oh, I hate that.
I was like, wow. And it didn't hit me in the moment, but I thought about it afterwards. Instead of like, wow, I'm proud of you, Paul. That's awesome. It must be nice. And it's been said on, I listen to a lot of podcasts, so I reference podcasts a lot, but I was listening to a podcast, and they were talking about how it takes 10 years to become an overnight success. Yeah. And everybody sees just the highlight reels. Sure. They see, like, that person that I was talking to just saw the success that I was referencing, and they didn't see 15 years, 20 years of building a career, eventually building a business, the blood, sweat, and tears that went into that.
And nobody ever will, unless they're in those shoes. You know, they don't see the sacrifices. They don't see the sleepless nights. They don't know the risks that you've had to take. They don't know the difficult times you've had financially to pay the bills, or anybody has when you build a business. They just, they see the shiny things, or they see your Instagram reel.
Yeah.
That's what they see.
Yeah. So you mentioned health in there. And for those of you joining us on just audio, and you can't see Tony's giant biceps and his shoulders, Tony is actually one of the inspirations for me from a lifting weights perspective and kind of getting my health back in order. I think when I first met you, I was probably over 50 pounds heavier than I am now.
Wow.
Yeah. I was pushing 220, north of 220, and I'm in the 160s now. So
well done, bro.
Talk to us a little bit about health, fitness, and then you mentioned alcohol as well. I'd like to talk about that, sobriety, because we are both recently sober, where we decided to give up alcohol. So let's talk about lifting weights, health, and kind of what that means to you.
Yeah. So my dad was in the Air Force 25 years. He's a retired veteran. He was always in the gym, very busy life, but always in the gym. And not that he was like big and jacked or anything, but I saw he was in better shape than most guys his age.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's
well,
cool.
You met him. My dad's going to be 77 in about a week. So
yeah, he doesn't look unhealthy. But
no, right.
Yeah, I didn't know he was in the gym. That's awesome.
He can't get around as good. He's got a prosthetic leg from the knee down, which but he does great. And he's still in the gym at 77 years old, 5-6 days a week, all day. Yeah. So, I think that was instilled in me at a very young age, but I don't like to be average in any aspect of life, not my physique, not in sales, not in business. I want more and I want that win. So I didn't work out at a very young age. It was probably like my late teens, early 20s before I really got into it. And when I do something, I go 100%. It's all or nothing, or I don't do it. That's just the way that I operate. Not to go off topic. Like, I live in Florida, as you know. A lot of people ask me, "Hey man, let's go play golf. Let's go play golf." I've never played golf, and I won't play golf because I know the amount of Did I ever tell you this?
No, but I know where you're going, because that's the reason I gave up golf 2 years ago. I hate golf.
I think I'd probably like it, but
Yeah.
I don't have the time to put in for the practice that it would require to get good.
Yes.
So for that reason, I'll never be good.
Yes.
And if I'm not going to be good, I don't want to play. I don't want to be average. I don't want to be decent. I either need to be great or I'm not going to do it. And for that reason, I don't play golf.
I love that.
So
Yeah.
I never told you that, huh?
No, I love that, because that's kind of big in our industry ish, where, a lot of deals are made, quote unquote,
Sure.
on the golf course. And I played on and off. I took lessons as a kid, but for that exact reason, it takes so much time and effort, and it's just not something I want to do.
Yeah, I don't have free time like that. And if I did, I would put it towards something more beneficial, to be honest.
Yeah. A buddy wanted me to do an Ironman with him. And I don't have a desire to do that, because actually I'm not great at swimming. I don't love to swim. And I don't have the desire to put into becoming really good at swimming.
Right.
Biking, love biking, mountain bike still and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Love being on two wheels. Running, enjoy that, right? At least the accomplishment of it. But
Yeah.
swimming, no, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
So it was, I like pushing myself and I'll give you an example. I get up every single day at 4:10 in the morning, not because I have to. I can go to the gym anytime, really, in the evenings, but I like to go. And again, it's going to sound completely arrogant. I know I keep saying that, but I feel like I'm going to, people are going to watch this. They don't know me. They're going to say, "Oh, this guy's a douche." Well, when I'm in the gym and I'm in there, let's say working out, usually by 4:45, 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm home by 6:20-ish in the morning. I take my one daughter to school, or to the bus stop anyway. It used to be school. And I feel like I've already accomplished what most other people are just making excuses of on why they can't. There's nobody there to hold my hands and wake me up at 4 o'clock in the morning. There's nobody there to tell me I have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, but it's hard. And I like to do hard stuff. And that level of satisfaction I get knowing that I set out to do that one thing, get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I did it. It gets me going on the right foot. It just gets me going for my day. And I feel like I'm 10 steps ahead of everybody else. And that comes across in my confidence in the way I carry myself. And nothing wrong with any of that, I feel. So I like to get results. I like to push myself, and when I'm working out, I'm always stacking weights on the bench. I keep going and keep going and keep going and keep going.
Do you write stuff down and track things, or you just kind of have it mentally?
I just know what it is.
Yeah, okay. Because you've been doing it for so long.
Yeah.
I haven't reached that point yet. I'm still kind of tracking it on my phone. I love to lift, and I lift in my garage. You and I have talked about this. Yeah. I actually don't like going to the gym. I have a gym in my garage. I like being able to work out at home, kind of not wait on equipment and not be around people. But I totally understand what you're saying. I don't wake up as early as you do. I wake up at 5, but do my stretching, do my cold plunge, do sometimes my sauna, get my reading in. And I have that time to myself to win the day before everybody else is up. Wife is still sleeping. Kids are still sleeping.
It's 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. And there is no greater feeling than that. Like doing those hard things preps me to do other hard things during the day. And running a business is really hard. Really hard.
I know Joe Rogan said it in one of his podcasts. He said, at least I know on that one day, I'm not a total piece of shit. You got to work at it. He set out to do it and he did it. Yeah. Everything else can go wrong, but at least he knows he set out to do that one thing and he did it.
I tell my wife, Robin, sometimes that morning routine, whatever that looks like for you, and it can vary. You don't have to wake up at the ass crack of dawn or whatever, but there's a level of that keeps me sane. Mm-hmm. It just, I don't know. It puts everything in place for the day, and I totally agree with that.
It's your therapy. It's a way to get out aggression. It's a way to to ramp up your energy. There's so many benefits to it. I mean, I will never ever stop until the end of my days. Working out and just being physical and getting in there and getting it done.
Yeah,
I love it.
I
love it. I started doing a lot of fasting, as you know, about a year and a half or so ago. Tremendous benefits from that as well, which, I can't say enough good things about it. So, it's hard. It's hard not to eat for, 3 or 4 days, water only, especially I try to consume, 240 grams of protein a day, and I'm used to eating and I could eat and, doing things like fasting. Again, I do it because it's hard. I do it because of the mental clarity and the benefits that I'll get out of it. But more than anything, there's one reason I do it. Why is that?
Because most people won't.
Yeah. And I want that win.
You want the win.
I know I can do it.
Yeah.
I know I can do it. The only thing that gets in my way is myself. At 4 o'clock in the morning, the only purpose I'm not going to make it to the gym is because of an excuse that I made. I'm not going to allow that. Yeah. So I play the odds. I'm not going to wait to go to the gym at 5, 6 o'clock in the evening when my day is done, because life happens. I got a wife, 2 kids, a business. Certain things are going to come up that are going to prevent me from going. Yeah. So the only thing that gets in my way at 4 o'clock in the morning is myself, and I won't allow that to happen.
That's why I do the cold plunges. Yeah. Every day, and Joe Rogan talks about this too. Every day, I stand over that damn cold plunge and go, what am I doing with my life? And I try to find a way to talk myself out of it. Oh, I'm not really fit. And I'm like, just get in the water. And I'll say that out loud. I'm literally talking to myself. It's 5 o'clock in the morning. It's dark outside. Nobody's out there. And I'm standing in front of this cold water. And I'm like, I don't want to do this.
You're trying to talk yourself out of getting in?
Oh, every day.
Okay.
Oh, every day. Yeah. Because it sucks. It's hard. I hate it. But I tell you what, the second I'm done with it and I get out of that thing, I feel amazing. Yeah. Because I conquered it. It's like a mini Everest. Yep. And that's, why do people climb Mount Everest? It's that conquering of a thing. Yeah. And when we stack those, that's what it is. It's that stacking those mini conquering of a thing in the morning, the wins. I don't know. It keeps me sane.
I knew what this was called, because we're on the same page. We know what we're talking about. Yeah. I don't know what it is. I don't know how to describe it. People ask me this and I don't have a way to explain it. I wish I would just.
Well, I think Huberman, he talked about it one time, is there's a level of dopamine that we get from it. We're wired to get dopamine from those things. Now, I think he was telling his audience that everyone's wired that way, but some people are just not willing to take that route. So they sit on the couch and eat Cheetos, because that's also dopamine. Sure. We're just choosing something different that in the end nets out a better result. And on that note, let's talk about alcohol. Yeah. I just passed 8 months of being sober from alcohol. And I joke with people when I tell the story, and I'll kind of embarrass you a little bit, but I want to thank you personally for helping me with this, because you were one of a few, but you were at the top of the list. If you 2 years ago, somebody would have come up to me and go, one of your friends is going to get sober. I want you to make a list. Actually, you list out all of your friends and one of them is going to get sober. Give me that list. Your name would not have even been on that list.
Why is this?
Because you and I were drinking buddies.
Yeah.
Because that's what we did. We drank together. We had a good time. Now, we were in the gym, but we like to drink. We like to party. We like to hang out at your bar in your backyard and do shots and stuff like that. So part of my sobriety journey, and I feel like this is probably just in sobriety with other people, they find strength in other people. I found strength in your sobriety because I said, if Tony can do this,
You sized me up.
I can do this.
That's right.
Yeah.
Good. And rightfully you should have.
Right.
Good.
So it's that whole iron sharpens iron thing. So you're over a year now.
Yeah. 15 or so months, I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Never going back.
No.
Never going
I didn't know that I was going to say that at first. That when I first stopped drinking, well, let me rewind here for a moment. What year was 75 Hard when you and I did that? That was
probably 2018 ish.
Really?
Yeah.
It was before COVID. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So real quick on that, you and I were together in the gym, the place you don't like to go to.
Yep.
But we're in the gym together. And for those of you watching, Paul said, hey, I heard about this this challenge, a 75 Hard challenge. And you got to work out twice a day, once of which has to be outside. You have to take a picture every day. You have to read for 10 minutes, some type of entrepreneurial, motivational type of nonfiction book. And one of the workouts have to be outside. Your diet has to be exactly on point, not a cheap meal, not a cheap bite. 75 days, no alcohol.
Gallon of water.
And you told me about it, and I'm thinking, okay, that was it. We really didn't go anywhere. I came home and I pulled in a driveway. My wife was out front talking to my two neighbors, and I said it to both of them. This was March, I believe.
Yeah.
It started in April, right?
Yeah.
So March, and I tell them this, and my wife, she's like, yeah, you're not doing that. And my one neighbor is like, no way are you doing that, Tones. And then her husband was just cracking up laughing. And I thought to myself, that's it.
Game on.
That's it. Don't ever tell me I can't do something, because I know I can. I know I'm strong enough. And then I think I called you or text you or whatever. At that moment in time, I'm in. And then you were like, oh, okay, I'm in too. And then we did it together. And that was certainly a challenge. That was the first time I quit, drinking. And so I don't know that I would have considered myself, and some people are going to, weigh it their own way.
Sure.
This is just me.
Yeah.
And it's probably not correct. I always considered somebody to be an alcoholic that needed it to function every day. Like you need it, you have to have it. Like you're going to twitch or break into sweats if you don't have it. I didn't have that. Although I did drink every day, if not 7 days a week, a definite 5. The 6th day I wanted it, but I told myself, man, you're going to be an alcoholic if you have a drink, and maybe don't have it. But it'd be, a cup just like this. And I thought I'd go the healthier route and not drink beer. So I drink tequila or vodka or gin, and I'd pour a pretty stiff drink. And it was kind of, living in Florida, you got sunshine, blue skies, and palm trees, hey,
That's what we do.
Yeah. We're going to the pool. You better have a drink. I got flip-flops on, time to drink. Sun's out, time to have a drink. It doesn't matter. There's always a reason to drink. And yeah, I do have a big bar in my yard, and we like to entertain. And it was just kind of became part of life, and it was just so much. But I just wanted to be the best version of myself, is really what it comes down to. And is alcohol, maybe it benefits my social life, but, it can't be good for my health. It can't be good for business. It can't be good for my marriage. It can't be good for my relationship with my kids. And these are the most important things to me. So I decided, you know what, that's it. I'm going to quit alcohol. I didn't know for how long, and I didn't say for several months that it was going to be forever. And now I can say that confidently because you actually said it. I don't know where you just said this in the last.
I did. Yesterday.
You text a group that Paul and I text together, and we're all into fitness and nutrition. And let me see if I can get this right. You said go ahead. You said
sobriety delivered everything alcohol promised. Right. And I heard that from somewhere else.
Whatever. I love it. Yeah. I love it. And it made total sense to me. And so yeah, that was it, man. So I still got the bar sitting out back, and it's got a big chain and locks on it because I've got a 15-year-old daughter that likes to hang out, and she's got a lot of friends, and I just try to be preventative.
I did not. I hadn't seen the chains yet.
You
That's
haven't seen
funny.
it yet?
No.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
so
yeah.
funny.
Well,
There's no need for me to go behind the bar anymore.
how about this? She actually came to me and she said, "Hey, this is her 15th birthday, which is October." She goes, "Do me a favor." She doesn't partake in any of that. I hope I don't have egg on my face ever by saying that. But she's like, I got a lot of friends coming here, and I don't even want anybody to even have a thought of going in the bar. Can you please lock it up?
Awesome.
So I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I got good kids, and that was it, man. So I live a totally, I wouldn't say a different life, but I get up early, man. Like I said, 4 o'clock in the morning, even on days I don't want to, where I could sleep in, I get up early. So now I find myself doing things like, almost every Sunday, my wife and I get up before the kids, and just her and I will go out to breakfast, and we try to find a different breakfast spot every Sunday. We try to do it early before people get out of church and places get packed.
Did you do that before when you were drinking?
No, definitely not. Because Saturday night, time to drink, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So, and then I reward myself with certain things. And here is my somewhat justification, right? So we live in Florida. I did not take full advantage of what Florida has to offer. We've got some of the most beautiful oceans and beaches around. But I don't have a boat. And, I could have had a boat, but my wife always said, you can't have a boat because you can get a DWI, DUI in a boat just as easy, if not easier, than you could in a car. Okay, she's got a good point. So never had a boat. Once I quit drinking, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to reward myself. And now we go out on the water, I don't know, a couple times a month, as you know.
Yeah.
We do a lot more, trips and vacations. And I'm there more, I guess, is what it comes down to. And it makes my wife very happy, and it makes the kids very happy. Not that we were unhappy, or at least I don't think they were.
Yeah.
But we spend more time together, and it's more real time. And
I resonate with everything that you're saying, because that's what I found after I stopped drinking. I didn't realize how much time, energy, and effort alcohol took,
and money,
and money.
Wow.
I would consider myself an alcoholic. I actually come from a family of alcoholics, so I was staring down the barrel of that gun.
What's your definition of an alcoholic? Is it what I said, or what?
No, I was using it as a tool to relax. It was
same.
And I told myself, it actually is true. This is true. My brain, I can't stop my brain. Again, type A, always thinking. When I walk around, I see problems and I form solutions. It's just how my brain operates. So I live in this constant state of that. But when I would have alcohol, the volume in my brain turned down. And I've told that to many people. That's how I describe it. So it was the only way that I could find peace, or at least this lie that I could find peace. And I believe that lie. So I was relying on it way too much.
Yeah.
Now, what I've had to do is I've had to rewrite, just like you did. And I was talking to Robin about this as well last night, because we're doing the same thing. So I made a list of coffee shops that I wanted to visit on a Sunday morning. Like, we're just going to go to random coffee shops. And we were talking about this last night, like before, because we would stay up late and drink and party. We're usually on Sundays sleeping off a hangover, sleeping in because we stayed up late. Because even on the weekends, I get up pretty early. And yeah, I've had to rewrite the stories. So when we go out to fancy dinners, there's no alcohol, and there's times where I do miss it, having an old fashioned or something like that. But when I would have that drink, yes, the volume in my brain would turn down slightly, but I would pay such a bigger price for it later. And especially as I get old, I just turned 40, and the hangovers seem to get worse as you get older.
No, they don't seem to. They do.
Yeah. So
now, quick question. Yeah. So when the volume got turned down, you knew that was going to happen. Was that something that you welcomed, that you wanted to do? Intentional?
Yes. Not only was it intentional, but back to the whole time thing, I felt like, or I realized after I stopped drinking, that I was always just waiting for my next drink.
Yeah.
In some way, shape, or form. It didn't consume my thoughts in my life, and I didn't have a chemical dependency on it, but I was absolutely 100% looking forward to cracking a beer, drinking, an old fashioned, whatever it was, to get that volume turned down. And I'll say, I'm a firm believer in this, and I'll probably die on this hill, but nobody can tell me that being sober in certain situations is as much fun as having drinks in certain situations. Now, that means that we had really high highs. But what I found is that my lows are not as low. So instead of my life being this really high highs and really low lows because of hangovers and stuff like that and the health consequences of drinking poison, my life has evened out a little bit. So we were at a concert a couple weeks ago. It's not as much fun when you can't have a couple drinks because everybody's just kind of losing their mind and it's a way to unplug and it's a social thing. But you know what I did the next day? I got up and I worked out. You know what probably 99% of the people at that concert did? Slept in and had a hangover. So I told that whole time, energy, effort thing was huge for me. And everything I was afraid to do, bachelor parties, traveling, going to Vegas, weddings, boarding an airplane. Oh my gosh. That was my favorite time to drink is on an airplane because I actually don't like flying. That's not my favorite thing to do. So I'd always have a couple drinks. I've had all of those things that I was afraid to do sober. I've now done.
Right.
And I proved to myself that I could actually do it. Yeah. And it's that win.
Yeah. Like even, like if somebody wants to go out to dinner, wants to go to a bar, a bachelor party, I would probably go out of my way to purposely, even if I didn't want to go, because I want to put myself in that uncomfortable position, that uncomfortable environment, because I know at the end of the night, I win. Yeah. Because I know I'm not going to cave. I know I will not allow myself to do that. So again, it just comes back to chasing that win. It ties into so many aspects of my life. I don't know how to exactly describe it, but I just realized that in the last couple of years, that's always what I'm chasing. Yeah. And that knowing I'm going to have that win. So yes, I might not have as much fun, but in my mind, I'm sitting there playing my own little game by myself that nobody knows about because I know I got it. Yeah. I won. It's just, I'm not playing against anybody else besides myself.
Besides yourself, yeah.
But I won.
Yeah.
That devil on my shoulder, he ain't winning nothing. Yeah. I got it.
I love that. Andy Frisella and Ed Milet were talking about that. You get to a point where winning is more fun than fun is fun. Yeah. And you may have to rewind that but I'll say that again, like you get to a point where winning is more fun than fun is fun. And the winning becomes the fun, and it's not just the sitting on a boat like you said, and drinking tequila and being able to kick back. Yeah. So I totally resonate with that. And and like you, I'm not going back. I'm done forever. Especially like you said, as I get older, my health. And that's the one thing that kept me. So when we first started 75 Hard, I lost a bunch of weight. And then we got off 75 Hard, and then I would start drinking again and start eating, and then I get lazy, and I'll be like, and I gain weight, and it's just this balloon effect or rubber band effect rather, where I would always return back to that state where I've gained the weight back, and quite frankly, alcohol was one of the biggest factors of that because it made me lazy because it didn't allow me to get up. I would allow my evenings to steal from my mornings, and the mornings those were the times where I'm going to work out. And set myself up for success. Yeah.
You probably say, well, I've already had a couple of drinks. What's the difference? I might as well eat like shit. Yeah. Tomorrow's another day. Yeah. And then, Monday, I'm going to start off the week fresh with a Monday. Yeah. And that's you
can Monday your way until you're into the grave. Yeah. Yeah. And I always, for some reason, pizza is one of my favorite things besides French fries. I love pizza.
I miss pizza.
And I'm a cheap date when it comes to pizza. So on my drinking nights, if we had a frozen pizza, 12 o'clock at night, I'm throwing a frozen pizza, and chances are that I'm going to finish the whole damn thing. Yeah. And that was not good.
Yeah. Even food, it's if I'm on death row and I got one last meal, pizza is going to, pizza's going to be it. And you know this. I haven't had a piece of pizza this year. Today is February 26th.
It's amazing.
Not that long, but yeah. I love pizza.
There's some satisfaction in that.
Yeah. That's so I don't get the reward and the satisfaction of the pizza that I love so much, but I do get the satisfaction of that win I have from not eating it. So again, to some people that might not make any sense. You might say to yourself, "Man, why are you torturing yourself? It's okay to have a piece of pizza," and it is. It totally is. Yeah. But I feel better having the win by torturing myself, as weird as that may sound, by not having pizza. Yeah, or totally. Not having that drink.
And you will have pizza. It's just a matter of when. Yeah. Like you're not going to. Abstain from it forever.
Even like the drinking thing. I thought to myself when I first stopped, like, is this going to be forever? I didn't really know, but now, I feel like I've come so far, it's only been 15 months, but, I feel like I would just be a total failure to myself if I had a drink right now. Yeah. And I will never allow that.
So specifically on 75 Hard, when you're not supposed to drink, one of my reoccurring dreams that I would have is that I would accidentally drink alcohol. Like I accidentally like take a drink of something. Have you had it? Do you have any dreams like that?
No, but only because this is going to, I can.
You're also winning in your dreams too?
No. In my almost 50 years on this planet, I can remember like 4 dreams ever I've had in my life. How about that? It's very strange. I don't know.
Okay. I think we've talked about
Yeah,
that.
I don't remember my dreams ever.
Well, I always have these failing dreams where like on 75, it's the whole like you're still in college and you realize you have a test tomorrow. Like it's that for me. So I'm like in my dream, I'm on 75 hard and 30 days in and I accidentally take a drink of a beer or something like that. I'm like, oh no, I failed. I don't like that.
No, yeah, I don't know what it is with the dream thing. I mean, I don't sleep very much either, but that's sometimes intentional. I would say I'm at least 5 hours. I try to get at least 5, but I'd say I'm 6 and I'm okay with that. I've just kind of learned to function on that. My brain is always going and that's got nothing to do with drinking. It's been that way for years, but sleep is a cousin of death, man. That's okay. I'll rest when I'm dead. For now, let's win the day, man.
Let's win the day. Yeah. Well, I think that's a great place to end it. I appreciate you. Well, thanks for joining us.
Likewise.
All right.
Appreciate it, man.